Now, I'm guessing that Romanas Frederique may not necessarily be that guy that feels that way about his ability in that way. Of
Right.
course, he's got tremendous ability as a high school football player to be ready to sign at Miami. But at 176, a little lean at this point. But the corner out of Fort Lauderdale commits to the U.
Yeah, and I mean so there are specialists or categories of players. There's weight classes for a reason. So like, yeah, he's probably not going to run the Oklahoma drill up against Derek Plaz. But Romanus Frederique Jr., I believe his nickname is OG Frederique. This is a kid who can play, man. I know that his ranking is a little bit lower. Who is calling my phone right now? Somebody I'm not going to talk to. Anyways, but this is a kid who actually caught my eye last year. He was at Deerfield Beach High School, and y'all know that was my first job out of college. I've already told the Jason Pierre Pulse or all those things, whatever. So I always lend the eye to, what's Deerfield doing? What's Miramar doing? Places that I worked and everything. And yet there was like this kid, and he popped on the field a little bit. You're watching offense, is playing wide receiver, scoring some touchdowns, cornerback, playing really well, a couple kick returns. This number 4 kid. And I'm like, okay, I was like, I saw the commitment and everything, and it says, obviously St. Thomas Aquinas. So I'm like, oh, let me see if he's on the other side from Ryan Mack or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, nah, this is that number 4 who was at Deerfield last year. Okay, now. So, yeah, it was kind of that thing where you put the 2 and 2 together because, high school transfer season is always ongoing. So, yeah, even between the time that, he was really being evaluated and committed, he's changed his school, but, has, legit size at 6 feet tall, for cornerback, which is great because, we have all these ankle biters, these mini mites in the, defensive backfield now, and have had for years. So getting someone, okay, if he's listed at 6 foot, even if you want to call him 5'11", right? That's still better than your, 5'10" Trajan Bandy, your 5'10" Corey Couch, air quote, air quote, air quote, air quote, because they're not scraping anybody's, 5'10", either of them, even with the hair. So having somebody with, legit height and length works, has very good speed, multi-talented kid. Like I said, he played all 3 phases, offense, defense, and special teams when he was at Deerfield. Now he's stepping up to St. Thomas Aquinas, which, is just one of the premier programs for high school football and also for development. So, I think that bodes well for his growth this current year. Again, I don't necessarily think he's going to be a 4-star, which I mean is possible, but I do think that you're going to see his rankings rise, just like Derek Plaz, even if he stays in the 3-star range. But he's going to go up. He's going to play with other Miami commitments. He's going to play against. This is a guy. Again, you have Ryan Mack from the defensive backfield who's playing there with him at St. Thomas Aquinas. You have Chance Robinson, the 4-star wide receiver on offense. You got another James Madison, who's a 4-star wide receiver on offense. So you got multiple guys that you can ply your trade with and improve your skills with, iron sharpen iron kind of thing on a rep to rep, play to play, day to day basis there. And everything. So, yeah, I think that's really great. Obviously, by going to St. Thomas Aquinas, you can remove him from the early enrollment conversation because if you do not know, again, as being a parochial school, there is a second semester religion credit that cannot be commuted or missed. So that's why St. Thomas Aquinas players do not enroll early. They have to be there through the spring semester for that second part of the religion course. That's just what it is. But when you get a guy with this kind of ability, hey, that can work. Now, again, if we're talking about my own personal thing right now, which is maybe, okay, let's look at what the midline is. This is a guy who should be able to contribute on specials. All, whether that's return, whether that's coverage. And I'm not even saying as the return man, but he should be able to play on specials. It's really incumbent upon him to continue to develop his athleticism and skill to really work his way up into the depth chart. This is a guy who should at worst be a fringe 2-deep guy. If you're going 2 deep in the secondary, so we call that 10 guys maybe, he should at least be in that 12 to 13 range at a floor. But I don't think from what I've seen, that he's an unplayable guy. And it's, again, going back through some of the misses of years past, we know the names of guys who were unplayable in the secondary. So he should at least be in the conversation for the 2 deep. And if everything develops, then he could be a rotation guy, and then maybe a starter down the line again after, maybe 3 or 4 years. So I do see that he would be a longer term kind of player here, but that is still fine. And again, from what I saw when he was at Deerfield, the multi-talented skill set, this is a player that I think can hit that ceiling. But then again, it is also incumbent upon him. And just, sometimes things don't go the way that we plan. But I think that there is potential there for him to be a pretty good player if things work right.